Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne, a children's librarian here at the Manchester City Library, and welcome to our Spring STEAM-powered stories. These are story times that are aimed at grades 3 to 6 that have a science, technology, engineering, art, or math component. For copyright reasons, our stories are only going to be read in person at the library, so please visit our website to register for our stories if you would like to join us. In-person attendance also guarantees a craft kit, which will have almost everything you need for our crafts, which we do each session. And we will also do an extra fun activity that we don't get to do together online. Those can be really fun things like slime or some cool moving crafts or something that's just a little bit hard to show you guys here, but we are going to do in person. But I did want to continue posting these videos here so we can do as many crafts and activities to share with as many people as possible. That being said, let's get into this week's STEAM-powered story. All right, so for our first activity, we are going to actually build a model that shows what happens on the equinox and also kind of gives a good idea of why our summer and winter seasons are so different. Okay, so what I have is I have a sturdy paper plate. I've got 5 different pipe cleaners. I have 2 in one color, 2 in another, and 1 in the last. I also have 3 beads that can slide over the pipe cleaners. I've got some scissors. I've got some tape. I've got some coloring supplies, and I have for my decoration a satellite image taken from Google Maps that is of our library. That is, of course, optional. You can just do your crayons or not decorate if you would like. What you're also going to need is an adult or a responsible older kid who is going to be able to help you punch some holes into the plate. So they are going to need something like a good sharp pair of scissors or an awl or something pointy that they can get through the plate safely. Okay, so what we're going to start with is our plate, and we're actually going to flip it upside down. And I did do the holes earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the compass directions, that's the north, south, east, and west, onto our plate. And a good way that it's a way that I remember how the cardinal directions go is if you're facing north, and then you go to the right, I go, never eat soggy waffles, which is north, east, south, and west. And that is how I remember it. Hopefully that helps you guys too. So go ahead and put those with one of your drawing utensils or a marker. And then for the holes, what we're going to do is we're going to put holes in the west and east. And then we are going to put holes about 30 degrees up and below the west and east. So 30 degrees is like degrees around a circle. And so this here, what we call a right angle, what you see on paper, everything that has that nice sharp angle, this is 90 degrees. If you had a line from this corner here to this corner here, this here would be a 45-degree angle. So for for this, what I did was I just sort of estimated where the 30 degrees would be, and then just measured that and did the same for all of my holes. If you have something called a protractor, which can actually measure, that is like a ruler for angles, you can do that more accurately or more correctly. But for this, since we're just doing this to do like a fun model to just sort of give us an idea of how the sun moves through the seasons, it's okay if it's not perfect. So I just went ahead and guessed. Okay, that was a lot of explanation. So this is the fun part. Once you have your plate with your holes ready, you can go ahead and do some decorating. So what we're doing is we live in the Northern Hemisphere, so we're in North America. And so that is how we're going to set up our sun going across the sky. And so if you want to draw your house or draw the town that you live in, like I said, I printed off this really cool satellite image of the Manchester City Library right there. And so I'm going to trace my plate, and then I'm going to put this image onto my model. But yeah, you guys go ahead and decorate or don't decorate, however you would like. I'm going to do this real quick, and then we'll get back to our model building. Okay, so here is my decorated plate. I had to remember which way the library faced, so I stuck it on correctly. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pipe cleaners or chenille stem. And if you have different colors, this would be a good time to decide which ones you want to be winter. So the one by itself is going to be our winter, and we're going to leave that one as it is. But the other two, we are going to shorten a little bit. So when you decide which one you would like to be your summer, I'm going to go with this, my darkest blue. What we're going to do then is we're going to take off 2.5 inches off of both of these. So you're going to measure that and then go ahead and cut that off. Then you're going to take your next set and you are going to measure 4.5 off of each one and go ahead and cut those. And then we are going to take them and twist them together. So each set, here are my longest ones. These are the ones that I cut 2.5 inches off of, and then I twisted them together. So they will be 18 inches. Then you do the same for your second set. You take about 1/2 inch, twist it together, and then you are going to have this one here, which is going to be about 15 inches long. And then you have your last one, which is just 12 inches, which we are going to leave this way. Now we take our plate here, and we're going to take our first pipe cleaner. We are going to bend about 1/2 inch to make a little foot on the end. At the bottom, towards the south end of our plate, and we're going to hook that in. Then we're going to go ahead and put on one of our beads, and then make that foot on the other side and tuck it in to the bottom hole on the other end of the plate. And then you can go ahead and secure those with tape. And then we are going to repeat those steps as we get longer. So we're going to take our 15-inch and we are going to put that directly in the middle. And then we're going to take our 18-inch and we're going to put that on the top. And before we put the second foot in, we are going to add a bead each time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you guys can follow. Okay, so now we have all of our pipe cleaners on there. Now we're going to kind of bend everything a little bit south. So they're kind of in rows this way. And then we can look at how the sun travels across the sky for us being in the northern hemisphere. So our little beads are going to act as our sun as it goes across the sky. So if you remember, our short one I said was going to be our winter. So in the winter where we are, our days are quite a lot shorter, right? So it gets dark earlier and is dark longer. And you can see how that would be because it takes our bead a lot less time to go across this short one than it does here, which is our long summer day. Hopefully we can get over our, there we go, as it goes across the sky. And then this middle one here, the equinox. So the equinox is what happens when our day and our night are about exactly or about the same amount of time. And that happens twice a year. We've got the spring equinox and then the winter equinox. And that's when right before days start getting either longer or shorter. And so that is what this middle one is demonstrating. One last thing I wanted to say about this model is that one of the reasons why our summer is so much warmer is, of course, because the sun is in the sky for longer, but it also has to do with how the sunbeams hit the earth. So if the sun is shining directly on you, like in a straight line, that's going to be warmer than if the sun's rays are kind of coming in at an angle. So in the winter time here, when the sun goes up, the rays are going to hit the earth this way. So even if the sun is shining, the sun is not going to be as warm. But in the summer, when the sun is high, the rays hit at a much steeper angle. If you remember our angles, so if the sun is coming straight down, that angle is very steep rather than like the 45-degree angle that we talked about here, or even less, which would be like the 30-degree angle or smaller. So that's like our winter sun versus our summer sun. And that actually makes it warmer than the duration, than how long the sun is in the sky. And I actually didn't know that before I started putting this together for you guys, so I thought I'd share. I'm going to put up one more picture for you guys to sort of show the globe diagram of our plate picture. And then we can move on to our next spring activity. Hello everyone, and welcome to our second activity for growing into spring. This is going to be pretty simple and pretty fun, I think. So what we have here is I have a bowl or a deepish plate. I do have some water that I'm going to put into it later. I've got some scissors, and I've got some different types of paper that are in a square. So I have construction paper, I have cardstock, and this is actually origami paper, but it's very similar to printer paper. So what we're going to do is we are going to make blooming paper flowers. And this is a fun little magic trick that is, of course, science. What we're going to do is we are going to take each of our papers and we are going to cut them into flower shapes. Now, you can do this different ways, but I think the easiest way is to take your square, then you are going to fold it in half, and then fold that in half, and make sure you have the corner where everything is folded together right here. And then you can either draw a petal or you can just cut one out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a petal shape. And then I'm going to unfold it. And I'm going to have a 4-petaled flower. And I'm going to do that for each one of my papers. And then I will show you our next step. Okay, so now we have our flowers, and what we're going to do is we are going to actually fold the petals to the center, just like this. We're going to do that with all of our flowers. Okay, we've got all of our folded flowers. Some of them you might have to go over a couple times so that they stay a little bit more folded. But our next step is to add water to our shallow bowl or whatever you're using. As always, make sure that the area that you're on is protected and it's okay to use whatever you're using. Okay, now this is the cool part. What we're going to do is we're going to take our flowers and we are going to set them into the water, and then we are going to watch as they bloom. Now, because we have different types of paper, we can also kind of make this an experiment. So if you want to think about which flower you think is going to bloom the fastest and maybe why that you think that they might bloom at all, then go ahead and do that. If you want to be really scientific about it, you can write it down. And if you have a big enough container for your water, you can even put them in at the same time to kind of make it a race, or if you want to time each one to see how long it takes. I'm just going to go ahead and put them and put one of them in. I think I'm going to do, let's start with this one. And we'll see what happens. That was pretty cool. I'm going to do one other one. I did add a little bit more water as well. All right, let's go ahead and do this one here. Oh, wow, that one went a lot faster. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and set up the other one, and while that one is blooming, we'll go ahead and talk about what is happening. Here's my last flower to test. Okay, so what is happening and why are our paper flowers blooming in the water? So paper is actually made up of very small fibers. If you look really closely, especially at this one, the construction paper, which bloomed so fast, you can kind of see the little bits of fiber in there. And when these fibers absorb water, they swell up, they get bigger, and the paper expands. And this makes the creases that we put into the paper flatten out because there's less room. So the creases were smushed together, but as the paper swells, there's not enough room for the creases to stay squished, and that makes the flower open. And obviously, as we're seeing, different types of paper will soak up the water at different speeds. So like our construction paper one, because the fibers in construction paper are not as tightly packed, it means that it absorbs water faster. Whereas this one here is going very slowly because it is our cardstock. And cardstock, if you guys know, is heavy and very smooth. So yeah, they're all very different. And I hope that you guys enjoy experimenting with different paper around your homes, and have fun finding out which ones bloom the fastest and which ones you think are the most cool. All right, we are going to let this one go, I think, because it is going to take a while, but you can tell that it is actually blooming. It's just going to take its own time. So here we have our craft for this week, Growing into Spring, steam-powered story. Remember, we are going to have our craft kits in the entryway to the children's room, which is also the accessible entrance at the Manchester City Library. And we are going to put those out after our steam-powered stories in person. So please come and pick those up while they last. All right, so today's is actually pretty fun. Even though the supplies are also relatively simple. We've got a small dowel, so a small round piece of wood, and then we have our printout, our template. If you guys want to pick up some coloring materials from home, you're also going to need a pair of scissors and some tape. If you want to go ahead and color your butterfly, that's probably going to be easiest because then we are going to cut it out, but you can wait if you would like. So we're going to cut out around the butterfly and then around this box here. And we're also going to cut out the boxes at the top and at the bottom. We are going to need those, so make sure you save them. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh, I did also forget to mention we are going to want some glue. That kind of got away from me. But once we have this cut out and you have colored it however you want, so this part here we're not going to see, but you can color both the front and the backs of the wings if you would like. But once that is ready, we want to take this box here and we're going to fold on the dotted line. And then we are going to fold this so that it matches up with the other side, the other dotted line. And we're going to fold this back, which is a lot of folding, but it's going to end up so that you've got your butterfly in half and the rectangle part is now underneath. If you see how that ended up. Okay, and this is when we're going to need glue, because we are going to glue in that rectangle so that that sticks and we have our beautiful butterfly. Okay, this is when we are going to take our dowel, our small round stick, and we are going to attach it to the underside of the butterfly. It doesn't matter which side, and we're just going to tape that in place so it's nice and secure. And then we are going to take these strips that we saved, and we are going to fold up the wings of our butterfly, and we're going to tape them to the underside of the wing. We're going to do that on both sides. You want to make it so that it's in about the same place, so that like here at the bottom, these are going to kind of line up. There we go. And then we can just get a little bit more tape. What we're going to do is we're going to tape around these paper things around the stick. So you don't want to tape the stick. You only want to tape the paper, because we want the paper to be able to move up and down the stick so that our butterfly can flap its wings. Isn't that cool? And I'm sure your butterfly is way prettier than mine, because I did not actually color mine yet. But it still looks cool, even without being awesomely colored like your guys will. Okay, and that is our craft for growing into spring for our steam-powered story. All right, everyone, that is all for today's steam-powered stories. I hope that you really enjoyed all of our activities and our craft. I want to remind you guys that we will have our next steam-powered story in 2 weeks, which is going to be on March 29th. If you would like to come in person and listen to some stories and do our extra activities and make our craft all together, please remember to go to our website and register for that. It'd be great to see you there. Otherwise, keep reading, keep exploring, and enjoy the time until I see you again. All right, guys, till next time. Bye.